Hello, listeners. We're Shedding Light, and I'm Candy.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Susie.
And we're hell-bent on shedding light on unsolved missing persons cases across Canada,
in an attempt to find the missing piece of the puzzle.
What you are about to listen to is the culmination of countless hours of research in an attempt to gather as many facts as possible about the case by reading news articles, online blogs and forums, and by interviewing friends, family, and people involved in the case. We will discuss different theories and possibilities and pick them apart in order to evaluate their likelihood, or better yet, eliminate them. We weren't there. We don't claim to know what happened. We can only try to paint a picture using the resources that we do have. We don't claim anything to be fact that isn't. We don't claim our interviewees' words to be fact. It's their memory. It's their recollection. It's their truth, and it's their opinion. And everybody's entitled to one. That does not mean we necessarily share any of these opinions. And listeners, please remember, everyone, including the suspects, is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Please bear that in mind as we welcome you to
Season 4, Episode 2, Lois Is Missing.
In partnership with Please Bring Me Home and sponsored by Bruce Power. Bruce Power provides emission-free, low-cost, reliable electricity to Ontario families and businesses. They are proud of the role they play in keeping Ontario's air clean and our people, communities, and environment safe. They stand in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and people of color across the world in the unquestionable proclamation that their lives matter.
Lois loved Christmas. She loved it like 90. So Mom just existed through Christmas. We'd be leaving her on Christmas Day, and she'd be hugging us. Got through another one.
We're absolutely thrilled. Anybody who wants to talk about Lois. After 33 years, we just assume, a lot of people don't know what to say, so they don't talk about Lois at all. We talk about Lois openly. I talk to my kids and my wife. Anybody will listen to me most times, and some people are uncomfortable. We usually try to leave them with a sort of a happy note of what Lois was like. We talk about Lois all the time. I am absolutely thrilled, you girls. Mm-hmm. It just blows me away that somebody wants to talk about Lois and you have no connection, no family connection. Just blows me away. I'm so thrilled you gals want to be part of this thing.
It was July 1988 in the small southwestern town of Lucknow. July 1st, Canada Day, fell on a Friday. The local townsfolk spent the rest of the weekend celebrating Lucknow's 130th anniversary, and there was a big homecoming celebration underway.
We'd had just a fabulous time that whole weekend.
The weekend wrapped up with a shirt-tail parade on a Sunday evening, July 3rd, that marched on from the bowling alley straight to the local arena and ended with a dance. For those of you that don't know what a shirt-tail parade is, it is basically a bunch of people dressed up in whatever getup they feel speaks the loudest, marching through their town. Some scantily clad, some men dressed as women, some with just plain old silly costumes, simply expressing themselves however they wanted.
And the shirt-tail parade, it's hard to explain what a shirt-tail parade dance is. Everybody dresses up with just bizarre costumes. Men dressed as women and women dressed
fun
panties and whatever. There's just and there's lingerie run around and maybe a lack of clothing. Maybe some should have more clothing on than they had.
Lois Hanna was born on February the 3rd, 1963, and was just 25 years old when she disappeared. She was the youngest of 5 children and was the only girl. She was raised on a farm in Holyrood, Ontario, about 13 kilometers from Kincardine, Ontario, which is also home to Bruce Power. Holyrood is a relatively remote area and remains a rural region of farmland and woodlots, and economically depends largely on agricultural services and tourism. With 4 older brothers, Lois was not one to be pushed around. Although she appeared prim and proper and was always a well-dressed young woman, she could definitely hold her own. She was a very attractive young woman who entered and won 2 local beauty pageants and then won runner-up at the Miss CNE competition in Toronto. She was raised to be self-sufficient and sensible, but her brothers also recollect her fun side. They speak of how well-liked she was by everyone, how she was a little spitfire and loved to be surrounded by her posse of girlfriends who spent much time at the farmhouse with her.
Got along. I don't know if there's anybody who didn't get along with her.
That's just going to say that very thing. I don't think there's anybody I can think of that didn't like Lois.
Yeah, all the time. The girls, Christ, Lois would swap clothes out. I don't know if you girls ever did this. But Lois, it's almost like if one of the girls had a hot date or whatever, Lois would tidy them up and here, try this and try this. And no, that doesn't work. Pull that off and yank this. And all of a sudden the girls would go bling, and they were there, right? That's kind of what Lois did. And I mean, our kids, I tell them, I talk about Lois, how they were robbed of their Aunt Lois, because they would have just loved her. I mean, she was, everywhere she went was just noise and confusion and so
Lost Dad and Lois the same year.
Her father, Ernest, had passed away just 4 months earlier in April 1988 due to a combination of health issues. And a short time after, her mother, Olive, bought a little house in town that she planned to eventually move into. Lois spent as much time as she could with her mom to comfort her in her time of grief. At the time of Lois's disappearance, she had been living in this house alone while she and her brothers renovated and decorated it in preparation for their mother's move from the family farm.
Mom had actually bought it. Mom was planning on retiring for the following season. Mom had bought it. And so Lois moved into it early just to get it sort of set up as her little dollhouse. And Mom was planning on leaving the farm once she finished the school year. Mom was a teacher. So Mom was going to move into Kincardine. So Lois moved in first to get it all set up and make it quaint and cozy for her. And then
we were in there. We changed floors. We did
floorings and stuff,
painting, and we did wallpaper, and
pretty little spot.
Like, it was a beautiful little building.
But Mom, she thought, okay, she's looking at a retirement thing. She wants to move. She thought the routine is you leave the farm, you move to town, and that's part of your retirement. That's what you did. So she bought this little house. Lois moves in first, and Lois was in there April, maybe.
Yeah, it was just that spring.
Very long.
I know we did. I know we installed hardwood floors, and we tore up carpets and had those all replaced. And there was a lot of, like I said, paint. It was just essentially every finish in the place. We didn't tear out the cabinets or the kitchen, but we did everything else was pretty much replaced.
Yard work and trees and trimming everything up and just tidying up. A lot had been let go. So,
needless to say, did your mom ever follow through with that?
No,
she never did move in there. No,
never spent a night. No.
We owned that house for 10 years after Lois was missing.
Yeah. Anyway,
about that, just wouldn't sell it, wouldn't do anything with it.
Even with work and family responsibilities, Lois found time for fun, and she spent that Canada Day weekend partying and celebrating with her brothers and friends. Her brothers, Dave and Jim, recalled the events of that weekend.
The afternoon, we had been in the beer gardens. A bunch of us came back here, had supper here at the camp. Been a busy weekend, and we had gone into the Shirt Tail Parade, and we took Lois up. It was the only car in the parking lot at the community center. So we took Lois up to the community center, and then she was the only car in the parking lot. Everything was down at the main arena. So anyway, so she had changed out of her clothes in the car. But the Shirt Tail Parade, they just paraded around town, and then they ended up back at the arena. And it was just a DJ. I believe it was just a DJ. There was arena floor was packed. So tables all around the outside, a little bit of a dance floor to this top. It was packed. There would be like hundreds and hundreds. There was a lot of people there. Our ice surface was essentially covered with people. It was just a bunch of fun. But you got to remember, we'd had an entire weekend of this. We'd had a week of prepping for the reunion to start with, and then the going through the actual weekend was over the top. And my girlfriend at the time, Michelle, didn't want to go into the dance. She goes, we've had a lot of fun. We don't need to go to the Shirt Tail Parade. I'm like, it's the last event. Come on, it's one of these things. You have to attend. Like, I mean, it's the closer of the whole thing. You get to watch everybody out having fun and expressing themselves whatever way they want in a Shirt Tail Parade costume, outfit and stuff. And then the final night was, like I say, so you go to the dance, I mean, everybody was so tired. So Michelle wasn't that happy with me because I was still going to go to the dance without her. I'm thinking, okay, come on in just for a few minutes. She didn't want to go in. So she leaves with my car. So I end up going in the arena. Lois joins in after the fact. We were only there for a short time, and you could tell nobody was like, okay, you know what? I'm really tired.
She left the dance at approximately 11:30 p.m. after being there less than an hour, as she was pretty tired out from the weekend festivities. She said goodnight to her brother Dave, explaining she was on her way home as she had to work in the morning.
So Lois, she comes to me and she goes, okay, she's got to open the store tomorrow. She was done, had a good weekend, gives me a hug, okay, see you later. She goes, I'm out of here. I got to open the store for tomorrow. And away she goes. And I can still watch her walk across that arena now, 33 years later. I just close my eyes and watch her walk away from me. She was just tired. She didn't need to be at the dance. None of us need to be there at the dance. Had we listened to Michelle, I don't know, it would have been interesting to see how her life would have changed from there. But
The drive home should have taken roughly 30 minutes from Lucknow to Kincardine.
Lois worked at McGee's, a women's clothing store located in Kincardine. She had completed the fashion design program at Fanshawe College, and her love for her job was apparent.
She loved this McGee's ladies' fashion store in Kincardine. She loved the owner, and she really took pride in her work there.
Lois was to open McGee's at 10 a.m. on Monday morning. Her boss, Debbie, recalls that morning.
She was to open. I noticed she wasn't at work. I lived in a small town. I lived up the street from her, and I was running some errands that morning, and I thought, oh, her car's in the driveway. Oh, well, she must have walked. And so then I went about running my errands, and I happened to drive past an intersection of the store. I didn't drive past the store, but I just looked up the street, and she would have had the sign out, the open sign out, and it wasn't out. And I thought, that's unusual. And finished running my errands. I mean, there was no panic. I finished running my errands and went past again, and I thought, still not out. And it was just kind of, because it was so out of character for her not to be there where she was supposed to be, I thought, oh, it's my mistake. Oops, must be me. So I went into the store and turned the lights on and started opening the store, thinking, oh, I've screwed up. The holiday was the Friday instead of the Monday, and it just jumped into it. My initial thoughts were, we're going to get a big laugh out of this, because she's going to realize at 11 o'clock or noon or something, oh my God, it's Monday. No, she's going to come flying in here. Oh, and that didn't happen. She was lovely. She was happy. She was hardworking. She was honest, dependable. Now you're going to make me start to cry. She was a lovely person.
So how out of character was it for her not to show up to work?
As I knew her, in a work situation, 100% out of character. 180 degrees out of character. You know, she's 100% reliable. I had asked one of the other girls, one of the younger girls that worked for me part-time, she lived farther away than Lois's house, but I asked her if she was coming this way or towards the store, if she would go knock on the door, because obviously she slept in. And so she knocked, her name was Christine, and she knocked on, I asked her to check on it, and thinking we'd get a big laugh. You know, oh, I slept in, I partied all weekend, I slept in. And then she wasn't there, but her car was there. This was pre-disappearance. So this is a small town. This is something that I wouldn't ask her to do it now, but this was pre-freak show. We didn't consider, nothing like this had touched any of our lives. And the girls all had a good relationship. They were close. They were girls. They were lots of laughs. And I think, if I recall correctly, Christine, I think, again, this is a long time ago, I think she came to the store and said, her car's in the driveway, there's lights on in the house, but she's not answering the door. So then you think she's fallen down, what I thought, fallen down, or she's, you know, she lived alone. Anybody, doesn't matter how old you are, you can slip in the shower, you can fall down the basement steps, you can, you know. that was where we went. We didn't go to anything was amiss. So it was like, let's solve the problem. And so she went back to the house and she climbed in a window. And she said, there's nobody here. The lights are on, the TV's on, there's nobody here. And and I said, it's strange in hindsight, but I said to her, and she was on the landline, right? No cell phone or anything like that. She was on the landline in Lois's house, and I said, did you go in the basement? Mm-hmm. And she said, no, I'm not going. I said, just take the receiver. This is like, sounds so stupid now, but I said, just keep talking to me, go down in the basement, because I'm thinking she fell down the stairs, taking a load of wash downstairs or whatever. She fell down the stairs and she could, unconscious. Yeah. And so I said, just keep talking to me and go down the stairs. And if you see something, get out and come to me. And anyway, so she's yelling at me it's the landline with a phone on the wall. Yes, with a cord. Yes, there's one of those ancient things. And she walked downstairs and she's singing or talking and then she came out and she's nothing. There's nothing there. So I said, get out. And I think she went out the way she went in, mm-hmm. and then came to the store and then we went from there.
And did you call the police?
No, I didn't want to. She had an elderly mother and some brothers that were close. And again, I'm thinking I don't want to panic anyone. So I'll call a friend that we had in common, and who had been with her on the weekend. I'm still thinking I got this messed up. Maybe she wasn't supposed to work today. Maybe I'm in, twilight zone here. Maybe I've got the dates wrong. So I didn't want to panic anybody, and I'm still thinking, well, maybe she had too much to drink, or maybe whatever. But so when I called Michelle, and I said, hey, tried. From my memory, 30-some years ago, I wanted to keep it light and say, hey, what's going on? Lois said she must have had a good time and didn't come to work and didn't come to work today. She must have got the days mixed up. And then that's when Michelle said, oh, no, I talked to her last night. She left early because she knew she had to come to work. So that's when my heart dropped. So I thought it was the family's right to call. She lived down the street from me. Bad things didn't happen. She was my main full-time employee. I had students and whatever, but I think she was my first full-time employee. 10 years. I owned it for 10 years. But no, I never recall anyone lurking around. If someone said, the bad guy was Mr. Smith or whatever, I would not be able to say, oh, now it makes sense. It was a weirdo. Like there's nothing. There's nothing. In a small town, you always get people that don't meet typical expectations, but there was never a scary guy or it'll be that weirdo up the street. There was never, there's nothing, no. She had 4 older brothers. She grew up on a farm. She was a bit of a, she was not an anomaly in a bad way, but she looked like a girl. She was very girly in the way she dressed, in the way, she wore these wicked heels and always had the hair done and the makeup and all the rest of it. And yet she had 4 older brothers and lived on a farm and could hold her own. Like, if she had gone downstairs in her house and if she, like, to me, what I always thought is, well, if somebody had been in her basement, it was an unfinished basement, she never went down there, washing machine and dryer were there. But if someone had been there hiding in her house and had, if she heard a bang, clang, thump, she would have gone and investigated. Not like typically she looked like a girly girl and would be, oh no, there's a noise in my basement. But that's not who she was. She grew up on a farm with 4 older brothers and in the country. So if there was a bang, clang, thud in the basement, she would go see. And we lived just up the street from her and my husband and I. And, if something was too heavy for her to lift, or if there was, like I say, a washing machine sprung a leak or something like that, she would have asked Gord or I to come and help her. She wouldn't be one to run out the house and flail her hands around and, oh my, what am I going to do? Even though she looked like that kind of girl. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, she'd call one of her brothers, or like I say, up the street was Gord and I, and whatever. So I don't know how else it could have happened. She could have disappeared other than somebody was in her house when she got there, but I don't know.
Or opened the door to somebody that she maybe knew.
Oh, she would have done that in a minute. I think she probably would have locked her door at night. I know she wasn't nervous to live alone, but she wasn't stupid either. In fact, that night, I can remember Lois had moved into this house and she'd done all her wallpapering and she'd done, well, this is back when wallpapering was, anyway, and she was very proud of it and it was all finished and she was making fun of me because I'd lived in my house for, over a couple of years anyway, and I still hadn't gotten around to finishing wallpaper. So I had finished it that weekend and I seriously considered, because I was just up the street, I seriously considered, it was 11 o'clock at night because my husband was listening to the news.
Mm-hmm.
I said to Gord, I'm going down the street to tell Lois that I finally got finished my wallpaper. And he just kind of said, you're nuts. It's 11 o'clock at night. You got no shoes on. So that's the kind of, it was a safe neighborhood. Well, it's been the strangest thing that's ever touched my life. Probably it'll make I believe in heaven, so it'll make that transition easier for me because that'll be one of my
she'll be waiting there for you.
Yeah. What changes you? Yeah, when everybody was shaken up, a small town, and a girl disappears, and it changes everything forever. I mean, I don't know how to describe that. It changes you forever. When somebody's just plucked out of thin air, is just gone with no answer. Someone took her. She was gone. Mm-hmm. She was gone. This isn't anything she would have planned. She was so close with her mom, so close with her brothers and her friends, and she was very dependable, and she just wouldn't, so there was a limbo. If you didn't know her, I'm sure there was a period where you look at the picture and go, well, even the police said, she's away with her friends. Oh, she's not away with her friends. Got the wrong girl. You're wrong. You're wrong. She's gone. And then just everything that fell from, I don't know, it was just gone. How do you explain that? With no trace. Yeah. And not knowing what to do. How do you find someone who's gone? I mean, this is pre-security cameras. This is a rural area. There's thousands of acres, and lots of times there's minutes before somebody drives up and down the street or walks up and down the sidewalk. Anytime I was out of town before, I would look at someone with curly dark hair and go, is that, because you don't know, maybe she got bumped over the head and doesn't, I don't know, I've never experienced anything like this. Maybe she got banged over the head and doesn't know who she is. It certainly became, I don't know how soon it became obvious that, she wasn't coming back. No, we just, for years and years, decades now, we just say a prayer or send good thoughts, or every once in a while when I think of her, I just send it out to the universe. Lois, where are you? Well, it would be nice to have an answer. Yeah. Yeah, it would be every time, even now, 33 years later, every time you hear on the news, human remains, it doesn't matter where it is. In Ontario, it's Lois would like to know that she hasn't been forgotten.
She was so pretty.
She would appreciate that with a little giggle, a little smirk. She would say, see, I knew you wouldn't forget about me.
Let's recap that, girls. So the morning of Lois's disappearance, all 3 doors of her home were locked. Chrissy crawled in through the bathroom window. She found a cup of tea on the counter. Lois's pink 2-piece outfit she'd worn to the dance was hanging in her closet. The lights and the TV were on. And Lois's purse and keys were there in their usual spot in the china cabinet. And her burgundy Pontiac Grand Am was in the driveway. According to Lois's brothers, Lois never left home without her purse.
The one thing that was a big delta was Lois never went 10 feet from her purse.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the front door to answer a door in the middle of the night would have been probably the only thing that would have got her more than 10 feet from her purse.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, she leaves and the purse is still in the house. I think all of us remarked on that. It's like, that doesn't happen. Like we knew immediately there's something wrong here because her purse is here and she's not.
And she typically would leave notes too. Out with the girls, out with the boys, went to get groceries. She'd just leave a note in a house by herself. She would have left a note, gone with the girls just in case somebody else came by.
Debbie, the owner of McGee's, who was Lois's boss, decided that it was the family's right to know about the situation as soon as she felt that there was something terribly wrong. She called a mutual friend, Michelle, who was also Dave Hanna's girlfriend at the time. Michelle immediately contacted Dave.
At the store, just about lunchtime, I guess, Michelle phones up and she said, Lois didn't make it to work. She goes, have you heard from Lois? I'm thinking, that's weird. Lois loved her job. I mean, she really enjoyed the people that she worked for. So, I mean, Lois didn't slack off when it come to, if she had to open up, she had to open up. That was the deal. Well, she didn't make it to work. Like, just go to her house. I mean, she'll be there. She's probably slept in. I can't imagine she slept in that long. I'm thinking, okay, well, just look around. I mean, she was in town. I thought, okay, you're in Kincardine. Look, just go to the house or whatever. And something doesn't sound right there. It was a kind of an awkward phone call because Michelle wanted me to sort of fix this. I'm thinking, I'm in town, Lucknow. You're in Kincardine. Could you just check the house? We had lunch, came back in, and the store, when I'm walking in the store, the phone's ringing. Gary answers the phone. He goes, yeah, well, he's coming in right now. He hands the phone to me. Here's Michelle again. She goes, the girls from work got into Lois's house, and she's not there. The car's in the driveway, and she's not there. I'm thinking, what the hell? So she's not in the house? You mean she's not in bed? Like, what the? I just like, it just took me. And Michelle, you could tell she was getting pretty revved up. And I thought, what the hell is going on here? This doesn't sound right. And then she said, the car's in the driveway. Her looks like she had been in bed, or maybe that her clothes from that night were on the floor of her bedroom or whatever. And all this, I said, well, she'll leave a note. She's been out. She's probably had somebody needed some help or whatever. I was trying to stumble around, trying to figure what the hell would be, why she wouldn't go to work. That was not attending to work and opening the store was over the top unusual. Now all of a sudden she's like, okay, the car's there. Well, she's gone for a walk. Maybe she's forgot. No, damn well, because she told me she had to go to work. Like, what the hell? And then Michelle goes, well, she says, I didn't know where Lois would have put her purse, but she put her purse in like a little china cabinet in the bottom drawer of this china cabinet. Lois's purse was there. I'm thinking, that's not good. Her car's there, her purse is there, and the doors were locked. The girls had to break into the house, and Lois isn't in the house. This isn't good. I just turned to Gary. I said, okay, well, I hung up the phone. Yeah, I can feel the hair in my arm standing up right now.
Oh, I know. My hair in my back is just.
Yeah, but I hang up the phone with Michelle, and Michelle was definitely concerned. I'm thinking, something's not right there. So I thought, what the hell? I turned to Gary and I said, okay, I'm not sure what this is, but I said, I'm going to go for a little bit of a drive. So I jump in the truck and I'm heading to Kincardine thinking, something's not right. Like, her car's there and the purse is there. She's got to be a block or two away, or something's really wrong here. By the time I get to Kincardine, I'm doing probably a best part of 100 mile an hour thinking, okay, this is really out of character and something's not right.
Dave jumped in his truck and sped there as quickly as possible, all the while trying to surmise what could have happened to his baby sister. When Dave arrived at Lois's house, his mom, a small group of Lois's girlfriends, and one local Kincardine police officer, Constable Rogers, were there. It seems that this particular officer did not take the situation seriously in the least. His actions demonstrated his sheer ignorance of how a potential missing person case should be handled.
Of course, we get there and this jackass town cop is there. Who else was there? Mom had made it before. She got there about the same time Anyway, I've come into this scene and Lois's car is there. I'm looking at the car going, what the hell? And now I think Mom was there, Susie Q and Sherry. I'm not sure who else. Ron, I think, was there. There's a group of girls there. And here's this Rogers. And he's going, wow. So, and he grabs this cup of tea. He goes, so he's saying, he's looking at this cup of tea. He says, so you think Lois made it home last night? I'm thinking, hey, jackass, you're holding a cup of tea in your hand. The lights were on. The door was locked. You can see her clothes. I'm thinking, okay, this guy doesn't know Lois. Okay, so we're going to have to train him a little bit. Car's right there. And then he goes, and he takes the cup of tea and he pours it down the sink. Sets it on the counter. I'm thinking,
oh, I know.
You know what? I said, I don't think we should be touching a bunch of this stuff right now. And he looks at me and he goes, what do you think you're going to do? Take fingerprints? I'm like, actually...
I did say walking, talking piece of crap, didn't I? Yeah, that's well.
I'm thinking, okay, Jesus,
I came a little short.
Thinking, let's just not touch stuff. Cup of tea's in the sink now. Comes to the purse. He goes out and he wanted to get in the car. Okay, he comes back. Car's locked. There's his keys for the car. So he takes Lois's purse in front of everybody and he just takes it about 1.5 feet off the table. He goes, whoosh, and he's pushing the contents of her purse all around, pushing it all around. I'm thinking, you jackass, you're trying to find drugs. The keys were right there. I could have he dumped it, but he opened up, the keys were right there. He did he wants to see if this girl's in drugs or whatever connection. So I'm thinking, okay, he doesn't know us. I'm trying to not stop him from what he's doing. He pushes everything around. Oh, the keys are right here. He takes the keys and he's outside. I follow him out to the car. I'm thinking, I think we shouldn't be stopped with the car. It's just, I think you guys need to just kind of roll up a bit here. Of course, it's a cop. You're thinking professionals. They knew this guy was a jackass to start with.
Oh, walking, talking piece of crap.
Anyway, so he's walling around. Of course, he's under the seats and he's in the glove box and he's rummaging around. I'm thinking, you stupid ass. Like, I don't think you should be touching this stuff. He goes, he kind of rolls his eyes. He comes back in. He goes, well, he says, clearly she didn't go for a gravel run. He said, that car's got a half a tank of gas in it. I'm looking at him thinking, you jackass, that car will go about 500 miles in a tank of gas. What the hell kind of investigation is that? And of course I said this to him. He's like, you're kind of grumpy. I'm like, I don't think you should be touching this shit. I seriously. Anyway, and that's so there's where we start. And of course he's on the job. He's on the job. He's done his preliminary investigation. He's got Lois Hanna's name. Now, you can be reassured he's on the job. I'm thinking, wow, we're in a tank of shit here, boys. This isn't good. This isn't good.
Well, I don't care how rookie you might be or how inexperienced you might be in a missing persons case. You simply don't destroy evidence. Like, it's so unreal how it was handled in the beginning. It blows my mind.
Well, and maybe he didn't realize it was evidence in the beginning. I mean, at that point, 1988 in a small town, how many times have the local police dealt with A, a missing person, or B, a murder? I mean, it's a very isolated situation.
But that's what I'm saying. You might have never dealt with it before. That's what I'm saying. You could be rookie or inexperienced, but if you walk into a house and a family's alarmed that their sister's not here, this is so out of character, and there's a cup of tea and the TV's on, she's not there. What do you start dumping the tea and touching everything? Like, honestly.
Wasn't there a rumor of a crooked cop in Kincardine who many suspected in Lois's case?
Yep.
Well, you know what? We'll just save that for another episode. But we will definitely get back to that topic.
We most certainly will.
Would Lois have habitually locked her door at night when she went to sleep?
Yeah,
I actually wouldn't know, but in Kincardine, like, that was new to her, so
she probably would have. Well, it was locked. I mean, the door was locked when the girls.
Well, that's how we found it. Yeah,
Lois did lock the door. I'm assuming she probably opened the door, say hi. But if a complete stranger Lois wouldn't have known, again, little farm girl. I mean, she
probably would have opened the door. No, she probably would have.
It's a human nature. You would just open the door and say, can I help you?
We were raised in a farm that the doors were never locked, and people would walk in the house and walk upstairs and wake somebody up because they got stuck in the side of the road or they were cold and hungry or whatever it was, and that's just the way we were raised.
Sergeant Robert Chandler of the Kincardine police force spoke with the Sun-Times reporter on Tuesday, July 5th, and his initial comments did not express an urgency or alarm. He's quoted as saying, "Police have done all their preliminary investigation, and there is no reason to suspect foul play." The Hannas were frustrated with the attitude that the police took, that Lois had simply gone somewhere on her own and would return soon. The family knew something was terribly wrong. This was so very out of character for Lois. She loved her job, she loved her family, and she loved her friends. She would absolutely not up and leave.
I was back in Windsor when I got a call from my mother and said that Lois is missing. And Mom knew she was missing immediately. And she said then, I don't hope we'll ever be able to see her again. But she knew at that time there was something wrong right then.
If any of our listeners have any information regarding Lois Hanna's whereabouts, please contact the Kincardine OPP detachment at 519-396-3341, or you can submit an anonymous tip if that's your preference. We can be reached at 437-374-3030. You can call or text that number. Our email is sheddinglightpodcast@gmail.com. Please Bring Me Home can be reached at their website, pleasebringmehome.com, or you can reach them at their anonymous tip hotline, 1-226-702-2728. We really hope and pray that we hear from you. Join us for episode 3, The Search for Lois, where we will discuss in depth the search efforts made by family and authorities.
This was July. The temperature was so hot. And of course, we're farm boys. We figure she's got 3 days. If she doesn't have water, the maximum she's got is 3 days. And so we were out of our minds trying to find her.
It should have never happened if there was a crime scene in there.
They showed up with ATVs, quad runners, they had motorcycles.
The police force at that time was threatening to throw me and Dave in jail for running an investigation illegally.
You see there's some blood here on the side of the steps.
Lois loved Christmas. She loved it like 90. So Mom just existed through Christmas. We'd be leaving her on Christmas Day and she'd be hugging us. Got through another one.
And as always, this podcast is dedicated to the memory of Nolan Panchishan. We love you, Nolan.
The phone